You're listening to Profit Without Worry, episode number 85. Did you know that there are oodles of people out there right now who need what your business offers? Let's talk about 2 key ways you can go about connecting with them. Hey there, I'm Michelle Evans, and this is the show where coaches, experts, and business owners like us get real about what it takes to create a profitable online business. I can tell you from experience that nonstop hustle plus random acts of marketing do not equal success. So how do we attract a steady flow of clients and sales without all the hustle? This is the Profit Without Worry podcast. Hey there, I am so glad that you're joining me today. I love hanging out with you each week. Also, thanks so much to all of you who've jumped into your podcast app to leave a rating and review. I cannot tell you how much that means to me. If you haven't had a chance yet, I'd love to ask for your support on that. Hop on over and leave a rating and review within your podcast app of choice because, you know what? That tells the podcast platform like Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, all those places, that real people listen and value this podcast, so they make it easier for others to find it too. And I want to remind you that I'd love to hear from you. Yes, you! It's super easy. You can email me at michelle@michellelevans.com or hit me up on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram, your platform of choice. Tag me and use the hashtag Profit Without Worry so that I can see your message. Also, you could ask a question, you could leave a comment, or just introduce yourself and say, hey, I love to put a face with your name, and I know, it helps me to know who's tuning in each week. All right, let's jump into today's topic, finding clients to grow your profit. Now, let's be clear. We are not putting on our client hunting armor and hitting the internet streets to catch clients. That's yucky, it's self-serving, and honestly, if you're trying to build a really great long-term sustainable business, I feel like that is a really short-sighted way to approach it. But here's what we are doing. We're going to follow the Profit Without Worry framework to serve first and set the stage to sell to the right people. Now, I've put together a brand new freebie for you, and it's the 5 steps to profit without worry. And you can get it at today's show notes, which you can find at profitwithoutworry.com/85. And yes, I'm here to tell you there are oodles and oodles of people right now out there who truly want to buy what you're selling, but first, we need to lay the groundwork for them, right? They need to know. There are 2 key insights that you need from your audience, which I'll get to in a minute. And I'd like to invite you, again, to download that new freebie that will help you go through each of these steps. You can grab that at profitwithoutworry.com/free or at today's show notes, which is profitwithoutworry.com/85. And in order to attract buyers into your business so that you can grow your profit, it's really, really important to uncover 2 critical things. Number 1, you need to attract the right people. This is important to creating profit without worry for your business. Look, if you're in front of the wrong people, they're not going to buy from you, period. Let's say that your business is about gardening and growing the food your family eats. Does it make sense to try to talk to college-age apartment dwellers who are thinking about exams, love interests, and parties? No, probably not. Does it make sense to advertise to parents who want to grow food for their families so their kids are eating healthy meals? Yeah, it does. That's what I mean here. You've got to be talking to the right people because no matter how good you are at marketing or how good your information is, 99% of college-age students don't care about growing food for their families. Now, there's some college students who might be into agriculture or farming, and they might care, but, those are very few and far between because most of them have got other things occupying their minds, and they just don't have the time, the money, the patience, anything to be growing food. So who are your people? What problems are they trying to solve? What goals do they have for their life? find where they're hanging out, and you've gone a long way towards connecting with them. I know, I can't remember who said it, but I heard this somewhere and I was like, oh, that's a very kind of guy thing to say, but they're like, go fish where your people are. Like, go to the fishing hole where your people are hanging out. And I was like, yeah, that's right. If you don't know where your people are, it's going to be really hard to get your message out there. And then number 2, you've got to find out what questions your audience is already asking. Okay, there is one big thing that I see every single time somebody comes to me with marketing that doesn't work, and it's this. They're using words and phrases that don't connect to their audience. I always say it's like, that old book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, right? Is that you're speaking in a way that your audience can't hear. And yes, I've done this too. In fact, I have to remind myself all the time not to do this. Recently, I had a new client reach out to do Facebook ads with me. This client has spent months and months and months, along with a lot of money, trying to come up with hooky, valuable content, and it wasn't working. The very first thing we did was go back to their audience. We got clear on who that audience was. We dove into feedback that they'd gotten from clients. We dove into Facebook groups to see what questions people were asking. We really wanted to understand what pain points this audience struggled with and what goals they had. And guess what? The questions, the pains, and the goals this audience had were nothing like what this client's previous Facebook ad people had pushed them to advertise. Previously, they were all about being hooky and clever and, just like cool. But this audience that they were trying to reach, they didn't want clever and hooky because they didn't see my client solution as related to them at all. So the client was being clever and hooky, but it was going right over the people's heads that they were trying to attract. So when we started using actual words and phrases, pains and goals that this client's audience already knows that they have, everything changed. So they were really worried because we weren't using the hooky, cool, interesting words and phrases that they had been using before. We were using plain as day words and phrases, and we weren't being tricky at all. But suddenly people were paying attention. Suddenly this audience was interested, and suddenly things started falling into place. I cannot tell you how vitally important it is to create a word bank. Now, I'm not the one that came up with this idea. I first heard it from Nikki Elledge Brown. I'm not sure if she's the first one to create it, but that's where I first got it from. And it's like a piggy bank for words and phrases, right? So how critical it is to your success that you're a good listener and not a clever writer. It really comes down to creating this word bank that you can pull from. Because nobody wants to be sold to, but everybody wants to be listened to. Nobody wants to be told what they should want or what they should have or what they should be like. But everybody wants their pains to be solved. Nobody wants to be vulnerable with their pain, though. Everyone wants to hear an inspiring story that shows, hey, you're not the only one struggling with this issue. Nobody wants to be judged. And everybody wants to be embraced and understood. And that's why creating a word bank is so important, because it forces you to be that good listener. It's not about being clever. It's not about being hooky. It's not about being tricky. It's about serving. So think about this for yourself. When someone you follow shares a vulnerable story that's a lot like a pain that you struggle with or have, don't you feel validated? Don't you feel part of the group? Don't you feel seen? Doesn't it make you want to find out more? I know for me it does. That's part of the reason I love people like Oprah or Brene Brown or Elizabeth Gilbert and more, because they're real. They're real people. They share their good and their bad. They're not afraid of being a little messy to show that they're human. And because of that, they make it okay for me to be a human too, which gives me space to learn and grow. So how about you? Who are your favorite people who've, shared the mess in their lives that they were able to turn around and create into a success. Share them with me because I'd love to hear. Let's celebrate these people together who are being real and growing businesses and having impact while being, human and not some Insta-worthy perfect person. And I'd like to invite you to be brave enough to be you and to share you with your audience. Just like those people who came to mind that have affected you in ways big and small. So, for me, I shared it was Oprah, Brené Brown, Elizabeth Gilbert. I mean, there's tons of them, like Richard Branson. There's so many people out there who I really trust and admire and listen to because they're real people and they've had success in spite of, their shortcomings or their failures or whatever. Sometimes that's why they've had success, and that's really inspiring to me. And you can be that light of inspiration for your own audience. You've just got to be willing to listen and to share you. Right? As you were listening to this, did you think of someone who could use these insights about creating profit without worry for their business? If you can think of someone who could use this, would you do both of us a big favor and share this episode with them? It's super easy to do from whatever podcasting app you're listening on, or just share the URL for today's show, which is profitwithoutworry.com/85, and your friend can listen right there. And don't forget to download your freebie, 5 Steps to Profit Without Worry. You can get that at today's show notes or profitwithoutworry.com/free. All right, have an amazing week, and I'll see you back here next week, same time, same place, on another great episode of Profit Without Worry. See you then.